Welcome back. A custody battle over 2 embryos is making headlines around the world. Colombian-born actress Sofia Vegara is being sued by her former fiancé to prevent her from destroying the embryos. Loeb wants to use a surrogate to bring them to term and then raise them. He spoke to CNN's Alison Camerota earlier today.
When we actually first signed the documents, I mean, this happened actually even before we went through the second cycle of creating new lives. And what we had talked about and the decisions that we made together was to take that life through the process of surrogacy to be born. You know, it's been tough. You know, this is, I've always wanted children. I've always wanted to be a father. I didn't create lives, lightly. This was very, very important to me, to the point where when we thought when we created these lives, and we were going to put them into a surrogate, we were coming up with names for our children. And so to do anything besides continue their journey towards life and through birth, to me is tantamount to destruction.
The question now is, does he have a case? CNN legal analyst Sunny Hostin is in New York and joins us live. Sunny, from my understanding, the contract between the couple only stipulates what happens to the embryos in the event of one of their deaths. It doesn't specify what happens to the embryos should they split up. So does Loeb have a case?
I think it's going to be very difficult for him. Not impossible, though. The problem here is that with the advance in technology, the courts just haven't kept up. No state in the United States has a law that specifically addresses this. So about 10 states have grappled with this decision and this determination, but just on the court level. So some courts have found in favor of someone like Loeb. Some courts have also found in favor of someone like Sofia Vegara. So it's a very interesting case that raises a lot of legal issues that, quite frankly, our legal system hasn't quite figured out yet.
And hasn't probably had to deal with very often. In this case, he argues that destroying the embryos is destroying life. Will Sofia Vegara have any financial responsibilities if he wins this case?
I think there's no question that if he wins his case and these children are born, they are biologically Sofia Vergara's children, or they would be, and she would be at least financially responsible for them. A court could decide that. Of course, he says that he would waive any and all rights to any of her money should he be successful in court on this issue, and so that may come into play. But again, this is a case that raises really interesting not only legal issues but ethical issues, like when does life begin? Does it begin at conception? Are these embryos lives? Or are they really property? And so those are all those issues that a court in California is now going to have to grapple with.
And it certainly is a lot to grapple with. What could this mean, do you think, for other couples that are going through possibly something similar? And is this a warning for people who really need to consider all possible scenarios when going down this track?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the takeaway here, at least the legal takeaway, is you really need to consider having a lawyer involved in this process. People oftentimes think about the best case scenario. They think about the birth of their child. They think about the fact that they'll still be together. They don't want to think about the fact that they may break up, that they may get divorced, and you have these embryos to deal with. And so I think the takeaway certainly is you must think about all possibilities when you go down this path.
It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Sunny Hostin, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.